Already at 4 a.m. in the morning he gets up to go out in the city to collect bottles. It's important to be one of the first. Around midnight, the doorbell is ringing. This is a guy called Andre. He's really hungry. He managed to get 2 weeks of employment, 4 hours per night, from 8 till midnight. It's black, of course, but he can't, of course, not afford to be picky on this matter. He has a wife and 2 children back in Poland. They are waiting for him to be settled enough so they can move to Denmark. He is 28 years old. He holds a university degree, but he says that there are absolutely no jobs back home, and even if there were any jobs, the salary is so low that it was not possible for him and his wife to sustain their family. They had to borrow money every month, even though they were both working. Andre, he knows quite well that legal employment is the only way that he can build a future for him and his family in Denmark, because legal employment will give him access to registration as EU citizen in Denmark. In turn, registration will give him access to a social security number, CPR number. After this, he can get healthcare for the family, kindergarten, school for the children, etc. Therefore, he goes to the job center every day, but there are no jobs at the moment in Denmark, especially not for those who don't speak Danish. To survive in the meantime, he takes the insecure black jobs. Those are jobs like distributing newspapers in the night, handing out advertisement in the pedestrian street, or just standing with a sign with an advertisement. There are a range of shady things and mafia-like methods in this area, and it's not uncommon that someone is threatened or beaten up. Andre, he doesn't like it, but he seems to have little choice in this situation. But still, he has not given up hope, although he has been in Denmark for 5 months now. He stays up for a few hours each night just to relax and talk, and then he goes to sleep. In the morning we wake up around 6:30. The atmosphere in the shelter is not so cozy in the morning. People are tired, they are reluctant to go out in the cold weather. We get some breakfast, we pack up all the mattresses in our room, and then at 8 o'clock everybody leaves the shelter. Some go looking for work, others go to private charities in the city, open in the daytime, and still others go to collect bottles. That's their only income. So the people that you met here, they are just 4 out of many. And they don't seem to have that much in common. As you can hear, it's a very diverse group. But what they do have in common is that they are all EU citizens. They traveled legally to Denmark, but they are now living as homeless, and they are excluded from receiving any assistance from the Danish state, except for emergency healthcare and a ticket back to their own country. We don't know at the moment how many homeless EU citizens we have in Copenhagen. At least a few hundred at the moment, and in the summertime we have much more. In fact, we also have another group now, which we are not going to talk about today, but we have a group from West Africa now, also quite a large group. So what are the consequences of this situation? First of all, these people are vulnerable to exploitation from many sides. Like Andre, for example. Many, they don't have a choice but to take on black work for lousy wages. And some have to pay part of their wages to others. Some are forced to pay large amounts to get a mattress in an apartment somewhere, or to get registration in an address. And people who work with social services in Denmark, they know that registration at an address is one of the most important things. Others, they just resort to a petty crime to survive while they wait for better times. Quite a large group of those who stayed with us, they move on to other countries quite quickly. We have a big turnover of people. But we don't know anything about the pattern of migration. A few of them we see year after year in the winter time, but very few. Some succeed They do get jobs, they do get integrated, they get an apartment somewhere. But those that we still see, some people stay here for several months or several years. Maybe these people have actively been looking for jobs at some point, but they have started a social downfall, which is accompanied often by alcoholism. This is what happened to Stanislav. And or mental illness. This is what happened to Giorgio, the guy with the trolley and the chairs. They and others like them, they just drift between the private social charities in the city and they collect bottles to survive. They have no rights to services in Denmark, although they, as at a starting point, came here and stayed here legally. The situation has led NGOs and politicians to push for solutions. One of those solutions is mentioned in the new government agreement on foreigners. Here it's suggested to expel homeless foreigners, including EU citizens. And this certainly raises the question of the legal status of these EU citizens in Denmark.